we used the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse before we grew them to 6 originally because I come from a conservative place. I come from Imperial County. My family's been there 150 years, actually. But water's all conservative. Water generally starts high in the mountains on inland areas. That's where the process starts. And people are more conservative as you go more inland. Water originally in California was governed by growers, ranchers, farmers. They're conservative by nature. I always said to them, you should embrace the mantle of the environmentalist. You are the first environmental steward of this water and of the environment. But things got kind of out of whack in the 20th century. But when I came to SAWPA, it's a conservative board, like many of your boards. It's an older board, like many of your boards. They can still be innovative, but they are, in fact, conservative. And I said, our biggest crisis, our biggest challenge is going to be climate change. And they said, we know you're a Democrat, but don't bring that up again. So we needed a way to communicate that didn't just push their buttons, because they're really smart people. They knew when we talked about the impacts of the challenges, they recognized those. They just didn't like the taglines, the way it has been characterized historically. So we changed it to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You know, those were their guys. They were biblically oriented. You know, also when you move more inland, you have people who are more religiously oriented than you find in the coastal areas. So they knew the 4 horsemen, like those are our guys, we can relate to them. And then we described him, and you can actually, if you want to dive down and look at this, the guy who's wearing the red represents the Colorado River because it is Colorado, it is red, it has the color red in it. The Delta guy has 2 horns, which is the San Joaquin and the Sacramento, so it's very symbolic. Not everybody gets all of that. Some people get that. But we've kind of used this as an icon to organize our thoughts around some very basic premises that it's bad. It's really bad. And we're going to go on drought, and so you're going to walk out of here knowing just how bad it really is. And for each one of these things, we're trained as professionals to be in our own silo. And you know, early on in your professional career, in your educational career, we have curriculums that are designed to make wastewater managers. We have curriculums that are designed for flood managers. We have curriculums that are designed for clean water people. We've sorted the world up this way, and we develop our own language. So it's very hard to communicate because my words that I pick may be not your words. They may mean different things for you. I'm an urban planner, very unusual to find in the water world, but I think it's a perfect match from my perspective. We use these metaphors because people can look at it, it touches their cultural touchstone, and they say, I better pay attention, it looks like it might be bad. But these are guys I know, so I've got to pay attention. And that was just a little narrative strategy we used. And a lot of elected officials throughout California come up to me, and these are the 90-year-old ones. I mean, we have that, you know, they're the 90-year-old ones. And they say, you're the girl with the 4 horsemen. Good work, good work. And so on some level, that person understands, well, there's something that we need to organize around. They may not be able to say, well, yes, it's the Colorado River, and it's the Delta, and et cetera, but it works. So that's why we picked that. And I invite all of you to find ways to communicate in the elevator or any place else that has visuals. So when you start talking about things, you know, Dinosaur P always makes everybody perk up. It's great with the 3rd graders, but it really drives home the idea that all the water we have here is all the water we've always had. And I totally agree with you. You know, I'm not going to say God is an underperformer. I would say that we're just speeding up Mother Nature. So it is a natural process. It's just speeding it up. And you know, you do great things in doing that, and luckily we don't die of cholera anymore. We are healthy, and thank God for chlorine, and you guys, you know, life goes on. So let's talk about this 19th century image. Secretively, it's a 20th century image also. Up until recently, we have, you know, maybe dressed in different clothes, and we have Priuses now instead of horses, but we have protected our water source very much in the same way. And if somebody encroaches on you, you know, send guns, lawyers, and money because you're going to fight. But we're moving away from this. And we're moving away from this because the challenges that the 6 horsemen bring us are so overwhelming, and they're coming together as a perfect storm that our water leaders are saying, you know what, this is not going to make it anymore. I can't one by one, either discipline by discipline, you know, flood control, wastewater, or clean water, or district, my town versus your town. We're not going to solve any of our problems that way. We only solve the problems if we take a completely integrated, holistic view. And that message has got to spring up from you all. The way things change in terms of paradigm shifts, people don't change their paradigm. They don't say, yes, I've been thinking about it and I've been wrong for the last 40 years, I'm going to change. They don't do that. People die and new people come in with a new paradigm. That's how it really works. We have healthcare now and people aren't dying that fast. We need to move quickly and move this paradigm forward. The way that will work is from the ground up, not from the top down. Your elected officials, the people who you vote for and your community votes for to make these kinds of decisions, they see themselves not as the people who change the paradigm. They see themselves as the person who have the authority to hold the line, to keep things the way they have always been because that's safe and secure. That's not going to be the recipe for success as we move forward. So there's got to be this groundswell of change. And you are home center. I mean, you're at home plate, or you're definitely in the middle of it. So that groundswell of change starts with you and your family and your neighbors and the Little League people that you talk to and everybody else. Together, they'll start crying for a much smarter, much more strategic way of managing our water resources. And then we see change happen in the elected officials. It's bottom up, not top down. So let's just talk about drought and why it's really, really bad, and you should be really, really scared. And you should make sure everybody else is very concerned too. You saw this slide before. I think it's worth seeing it again. Everything's that dark, dark, oxygenated blood red, the worst color in the world. It used to be, we would say, at least in our district, we have like 5 sources of water. So we always felt pretty good about that. You know, we have a diverse portfolio. Our diverse portfolio, every single aspect of it is stressed. So it used to be if there was a drought in our area, that's okay because we imported water from Colorado, we imported water from Northern California, and they're not having a drought. Well, they're both having droughts too. So everybody's in a drought. Lake Mead, which is where we store a lot of the Colorado River water, it's at all-time historic low. It is going to be so low that Las Vegas will not be able to take water out of it. When water resource managers see things like that bathtub ring, they get really, really scared. You know, dams go like this, so as the water level goes down, there's less and less water there. So Colorado River, major source for California, very stressed. Climate change. You know, the good news is we're not in it alone. The bad news is we're not in it alone. The entire Colorado River basin is experiencing a climate change, much drier, much hotter, meaning less water. So this is Oroville, Lake Oroville. This is high in Northern California, major storage facility for managing the plumbing of the entire state of California. This is 2005. These are the good old days. This is 2006. So in just 1 year, you can see a huge change. This is last week. Major storage facility, almost empty. So very bad. Now I could show you slides for every single reservoir. They all look very scary, scary, scary low. So we've always said in California, we're smart, we're diverse. We have groundwater too. Here's that really bad color, oxygenated dark blood red. That's our groundwater levels. So we've backfilled with groundwater. You know, as you know, up until January 1st of this year, we really had no statewide groundwater regulatory framework. We have that now. So rationality is going to come in there. So we can't just pump as if there's no tomorrow because we have 25 feet of subsidence in some places where the groundwater is actually collapsed. You can't even fill it back up. And it's a very bad sign. The thing that makes this drought different, and California's always experienced a lot of droughts, but the one that makes this different is it's so much warmer. So as you know, when things are warmer, plants extrapolate much more faster. You need more water. You need more water all the way around. So that drop of water doesn't go as far as it did when it used to be cooler. We have an average, and this is a reflection of nighttime lows. Our average nighttime low in California is in the collective 2 degrees Fahrenheit higher than what it was historically. And that doesn't seem to be changing. So that's the drought. So you know that's bad. That's really bad. And you probably have a pretty good understanding as to how much water you drink or you use in your home. You may have a little bit of an understanding. Most people don't have the understanding of what they use outside the home. But do you know how much water you need or is needed to produce your food and your fiber and all the things around you? So this is always a big mystery. So we're going to do a little quiz here, and this is an opportunity for you to talk to your neighbors again. How many gallons does it take to produce this apple? Talk to your neighbors.
Talk to your neighbors on your right or your left. How many gallons to produce an apple? Room temperature.